Welcome back. Part 2 of the suitcase style mini album. We are going to start decorating the outside and also attach the top. First, what we want to do is get into the paper. The sheet we're looking for is located in the back. It's not the white one. It's actually the one that's more vintage looking. And we're going to go ahead and put that right on out. Flip your paper over. And although we're using this, let's go ahead and use this for how we're going to cut this. So what you're going to want to do is measure to 6 inches and cut that right down. You will have these two pieces. What you're going to want to do is we are going to grab the right hand sheet, put this off to the side. Okay, and what we're going to do is turn it, and we are going to measure over 8 1/2 and slice it. Put this in your reserves. Grab your specialty peacock white, and looking at it this way lengthwise, we are going to measure over 6 inches and cut it. Set this piece off into reserves. What we are going to want to do, this is the back, here's the front. Okay, make sure I did this right. Looking at it here, let me get the scoreboard out. This is going to make it much easier. You put this down, you're going to want to score it at 1 inch. And we're going to fold that. And what I'm doing here is I am going to wrap this underneath. And as we do with normal, whoops, all fingers here. Let's just hold it up. It's going to be a lot easier that way. Okay. To get a good fit, kind of like what we do on our other albums for spine, this is going to be the bottom. So we're going to open up our album like so, put our hands here to hold it steady. We are going to put this up against, hold it with our thumb right here so it doesn't slide away from us. And then, make sure, we are going to push it over and pinch it. Grabbing our scoreboard again, we are going to score it where our pinch is. And on mine, I'm showing I'm about 4 3/4. So there we go. And we are going to fold this over, fold it down. Okay. The idea of this is, and at this point it makes no difference which is the larger half, to the front or the back. Or actually what I did was use the smaller flap up from the front of the album down there, and the larger being back here. Let's get our score tape out, and all we're going to do, and we're not going to get on the score mark, we're just going to bring this right on the inside. And we are going 2. I'll have to snip that. And again over here, kind of lining it. Since this is going to be the bottom of the album, we don't have to have a whole lot of score tape going down like we would normally on an album that sits up and we're going to have something attached. So we're just going to run 2 pieces down here in the middle. And I'm going to clip off any score tape that hangs over. That looks good. Okay, so one thing we want to do, forewarning, is when this comes to attach, okay, we are going to want a little bit, about, I think it's about a 1/16 on either side that's going to show, whoops, that's going to show the crafty. So how I'm going to do this is first I'm going to remove one side of the score tape. This is the front of my album. I'm just going to bring this right on up here. As you can see, I'm going to turn it so you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to end up flapping this over. You may want to hold your album down flat with the lip out and bring it up to your score mark so you can make sure that you are going to get it evenly centered. And it's just a matter of eyeballing it. Let's see. And then you can start like that. So you will get a little bit of your side crafty showing. Now, the rest of this is pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take off the score tape for the bottom. Just hold your album up like so. I think I can get it in there. Let me flip it over since it's easier. And this is kind of like how we do the other mini albums. So if we hold this like this and we just push right there and over, you should get a pretty even. And then what we're going to do is take the score tape off, and for the back. Now, if you get it a little off for the back, it's not going to be the end of the world down here, because we are going to be placing paper down and our lace and whatnot. If you're hanging over, like mine came on a little crooked, I'm just going to trim this up. Nobody's going to see it. Okay. And we're going to remove the score tape on the back. Holding the album up like so, I'm just going to push this over. Okay, here's the front of mine, and here's the back. Looking at the front, go ahead and flip it over. This is the top portion of our of the back. Okay, you're not going to see any of this because the flap does come down. So we are going to center this. Now, the idea here is to get about a little bit of a 1/16 of on either side to show the crafty. So mine, I am just going to make a trim mark. You are going to leave about a 1/16 showing of the white peacock paper. Okay, and we are going to center this in the back down and adhere it down. Now the idea behind this, and I already started doing mine, just to show you, we're going to go around this. We're going to put Scor tape down one side here, here, about an inch up from the bottom. And we are going to about 2 inches from the top. And we're going to put one more piece right down the middle. And the rest here, we're going to fill in with glue. And we are going to get some of our other pieces prepped and ready to go for the front right after this. Let's get this. Now remember, this is going to be for the top, but we're actually going to, and I'm going to lay this flat here. We're going to line it up down here about a 1/16 from the bottom, or an 1/8, whatever you want. It isn't going to matter. And we're going to lay it down, making sure we press down really good. Okay. So this is what you should have for the back. Let's get the front done. On your other sheet, flip it over so it looks like this. We're going to measure over 8.5 inches, and we're going to cut it. You should have these, if you flip them over. Set this off to the side. And this one actually gets pulled all the way up. And again, right down here, you're going to have more exposed of the peacock white. We do have trim pieces to go over this. Let's set this off to the side. We're going to grab this in just a moment. We are going to need, and I just had it in my hand. Here it is. Okay. We are going to want to die cut this for the front, and I'm going to show you. We're going to grab some white cardstock. What we're going to be doing is this part around this. I am going to need this, and I'm also going to need this. I recommend putting the wax paper down over this because there's such intricate cutting going on, and this makes it so that it's just going to come right up for us. So I'm going to grab my white cardstock. I just had it in my hand. So placing it down, I'm going to put my wax paper down here. Looks like I didn't quite make it big enough, but that's okay. It's just a little bit. And I'm going to run this through the die cutter. Okay. Make sure this comes off. And remove the little wax film. And I'm going to reuse this. Pop out anything that didn't go, which should just pop right out with no problem. And it looks like we did. Okay. We are going to grab our buckles. I used gold, so I'm going to get a set of gold out. We're going to get all our pieces ready to go here. You are going to grab your pencil, and from the whoops, rose up in the corner here. you are going to measure down from the top 1 3/4, and you are just going to place a pencil mark. So we know that when this is sitting, this is where we are going to have this placed. Okay, so you can sit it right there. From the sides, coming in from the sides, let's make our mark to the tip of this piece here, and it's gonna be 15/16. So I'm going to make a mark right here. Whoops. And I'm going to flip this around so my head doesn't get in there. Measuring in. That is about right. All right. So we now know where the tip of these need to be and the top. And when we do the top, we're just going to place it slightly over that line to cover it. And then we will move over to the points of where we made. Now, mine are just a hair off. Well, not too bad. There we go. There's 1 and there's 2. You will notice that you are going to have hangover down here, and that is perfectly fine. All we're doing is going to find our holes for where the brads are going to go through, but we are going to use glue under here. Let's pull the front of our album and place it, and we are going to leave a 1/16 of an inch from the top, and somewhere just enough on the sides to where you can see some of the crafty poking out there. So I can't tell if I'm actually squared or not, but that's okay. So I'm going to find my lines. Here is the bottom ridge of the cover. And that should be close enough. Now that you have it placed right here, and it may be easier if you just get that out of the way so you are actually seeing the bottom lip. We want to measure up from the bottom. Now, you are centered here when you're doing this. And I'm going to turn this a bit so I can see without getting my head in there. We are going to be just a hair over, and I'm going to show you so that you can find your place as well. This is an approximate, and I am going to, whoops, 1 5/16 is what it was. Okay, if you place your ruler right along this edge, this might help so that we get it in the general idea we're supposed to. Okay, I am going to just make a mark, and I'm going to zoom in here if I can figure this out here, what I'm doing. I have the ruler placed right along that, right here. Measured up 1 5/16 and just placed a little pencil mark right there. Now you can just extend that just a little bit where the tip is. Let's do the other side. Right here is where I want to be, right on the side here, and I'm going to find 1 5/16, which should put me right here again at the tip, and I'm just going to make a mark. Now this is the easy part. Now that we have the general area, I'm going to bring this up. We made a mark right here. Now what we want to do is make a mark right here. Whoops, get up there so you can see right here. On this side, same thing. So we can make sure that we get our brads in the right places, or the punch holes in the right places for our buckles. I'm going to back the camera up. Let's get our other pieces ready to go. In our paper pack, where is it? It's this last page. Let's go ahead and tear out the last page. What we're going to do is get this out. So we are going to go ahead and cut it straight down and then cut it down that way. Okay. If you have this die or a circular to cut out, we are going to use that. What I did was I just kind of planted this just so that it is, I had put the tip of that at the edge, and that's just made sure that from side to side I'm even, and then I ran it through the die cutting machine. If you don't have a die cutting machine or this die, what you can do is find something oval, or if you have stencils, and you can measure this to see where exactly you want to be. The idea is to come in here in a circular. Another way you can do this if you don't have this is you can cut, and let me show you. You can cut a rectangular piece of white cardstock, and then what you can do is just kind of, before cutting this, of course, is to measure and plant it, something similar like this, but chopping it off so you have a little bit of white showing around the edges. And I will show you that trick really quick. However, I do find that this die is wonderful. And after die cutting, this is what it looks like. I am going to ink the edges around here. This piece right here, if you want to make, and I'm going to pull it out of the book here, if you want to make from scraps, this is that piece. So hang on to this, set it in your scrap pile, but I want to show those who don't have a die cutter how they can also do this without the fancy. I cut a piece of white cardstock. It's actually 6 3/16 wide, and I believe this is an even 4 1/4. Now, all you have to do is plant this before it's cut, of course, and mount it, center it right there. So you would have it looking like this instead of having it look like this. So that's an option. I'm grabbing the Toffee Crunch, and all I'm going to do is ink around the edges. I am going to center and glue this down, and with this, all we need is our glue. You don't need that much. Just make sure you do get around the edges, and make sure, since we're using white cardstock, that your hands are clean. Otherwise, you will have smear of dirty fingers or oils off your skin. And I just planted that right on in there. Before we can glue this down, we do need to find a border strip that actually lays right down here underneath this. Let's find that in our paper pack. Open up to this page, and we are going to pull it out. On the back side is this. Another page we're going to get ready for is this one. Let's pull that out and set it off to the side so we're all ready to go here. We are going to trim off this purple strip, and it's going to give us this. Let's set this off to the side, flip that over. So we are going to measure over 8.5 inches and slice it. Throw this into your scrap pile. This is how we are going to do it. But the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we can, this has to be, we have to punch our holes in this, but we have to get this down. So the easiest way that I've found to do this is, let's grab a piece of score tape. The pink is going to be down. Flip it over like this so we know this is the bottom. And we are just going to run one piece of score tape down that bottom so we can still slip in. When this is down, we can still slip this down in there, and then we can apply glue right under the lip. And all I'm looking at here is the bottom edge. And I'm going to leave just a little bit of crafty showing. Like that. So I can still slide this in there. And then I can be able to maneuver this up just a hair. And then I can apply glue right under the lip of this. Okay. Now that we have this down, we can actually start putting some score tape around here. But let's get our hole punched first. Where is my marks? Here and here. And I know that this goes here, and I'm going to line up the sides. Okay, the buckle. We do know that the buckle is supposed to place right here, and I am going to zoom in so you can see exactly where I am placing this. Now, if you get it a little off, it's not the end of the world, okay? Because we can always maneuver our straps to match up. So, let me get in even closer. There. Right here, get my pencil out, you will see that there is a little triangle. The bottom part of this is going to fit right like so. You're just going to see, and I'm going to zoom in even more so you can see, if possible, there. Get that right there. At this point, if you put this down, you'll have a little bit peeking out. There is our line. And we are showing a little white right there. All I'm going to do, move that out of the way, and I slipped. Put my pencil in there and make a mark. And I did slip a little bit, so I want to make sure my mark is in the right spot. We are good. Okay, you can move this buckle out of the way. I am going to come over here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find this little place over here. Make sure I'm still where I'm supposed to be. Okay. Again, I'm going to move it over just like so. I'm going to move my hands here in a minute. Leaving just a little bit of white peeking out. Oops. And we have a little bit of the corner. Well, I'm not doing very good at this. I have a little bit of the corner peeking out. And I'm just going to go like this. And it's in the general areas where we did the other one. If you look, I'm going to go see here and make my hole a little bigger. Zooming back out. Make sure your dot is dark enough on each side. And I'm going to come over here and I'm actually to get some of that white paper, make it a very large one so there's no mistake. So I know where that hole needs to be. So now when I glue this down, I'm not going to lose my place. And do make sure that when you do this, get it onto the white so you know where we're supposed to be. So if you're right in between there, make sure on the little bit of the white over there, we know that that's part of it. All right, let's lift this up and flop it over. With this, we already know that our marks are right in here. This is where we're going to make sure we glue it very well. Okay, we are going to use Scor tape right in through here, and then we're going to do the gluing around this. And I am actually going to force my Scor tape to go around the edges here. Best you can as far as this goes. And I'm going to lay one here and one here so it stays flat. There's no chance of it buckling up or rippling if you get too much glue. Okay, gluing. This is where having this tip is going to help you, because you can actually dot it around to get in there really well and appear on these intricate pieces. All right. This is where I am going to stick this right underneath here in case I've got some glue hanging out. Okay. From the top, I'm just going to go right above that line to hide it. And I'm going to make sure I'm over here pretty straight. Hoping I get straight anyway. And if you're off a little bit, it's not going to hurt nothing. because it's close enough. Within a 1/16 or even, you know, it's going to be okay. Okay. Before we mount this, we do want to put some holes in here. If you have one that's deeper edge, or perhaps you can get through, go ahead and punch where you think you need to be there based on our measurements. Okay, and I did that. We are going to apply a little bit of glue under the head of this. Whoops! Not good. Underneath your brad. And we're going to place this down here in a moment. Make sure you are situated. Do not get glue on this little lever thing because it will make yours very stiff. We are going to use this glue to glue down. And you will want your clamps here in a moment to hold it down. And we are just going to place that like this. We are going to run our brad through it. Flip this over, and we are going to apply some glue. And bring this up underneath these brads just to make sure it stays in place, but push it down. Now, we want to make sure that this really glues down. This is where I like to use my clips to make sure it really glues down well. So I am just going to clamp it down hard, just like that. Let's do our other side. I'm going to get my brad ready here. Put a little glue in the head. Set that off to the side. Sure that's nice and tight. I'm gonna grab my second clamp and looking at this, making sure I'm straight as can be anyway. And I'm just going to clamp that down. I'm going to give this probably about 15 minutes to really grab and dry, and then we're going to come back and we are going to slide this, get the Scor tape and the glue back behind here. This is real simple how we're going to do this, and then we can come on back and get the front down and then start decorating. While we're waiting, flip over your album. And let's go ahead and get the bottom trim done here. And all this is the, it's like a 1/2-inch lace, and I'll show it to you, and the bling. And I'm going to grab my pack. And any lace will do. You don't have to have exactly what I have. I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut off this little piece over here. It's kind of mangled from where it sat with the tape. All I'm going to do is measure enough to reach side to side and clip it. And I'm right about here. On this particular lace, if you're using it, you're going to want to trim off any threads. Find a couple binder clips. This will help hold it down while it dries. And we are going to glue it right across the bottom. And I am using my glue because it does dry clear. If you want to start your tacking down with a little hot glue, you can do that. And because it takes a moment to grab, I am going to clip it once I get some glue down here. Enough glue, that is. To hold it. Now the easy part. I'm going to turn this so you can see and I can see. Just going to run glue right across the bottom. And I'm going to grab my other clip, wherever it went to, and I'm going to clip that in place to hold it until it can dry. We're going to need our bling, and I am using leftovers from what I had. I'm going to measure across how much I need, and it looks like right here will be good. This actually gets placed right above the ridge of this, so I'm going to unclip this side and start applying my glue right above. And I'm going to re-clip it. Bringing it all the way over to the edge. And clipping it to hold it. And I am just going to repeat this. And it looks like I have a little overhang, too much. And I think I'm going to push that in because it's ending at a spot that I might be able to clip it down. Okay, so this is what you should have, and this is the back. Let's give that probably about 3 minutes or so. I just removed these. Mine seem like they're pretty sturdy. Of course, the glue is still drying, so I'm not going to be tugging on those. What I need to do is lift this purple little lip. Actually, you know, a better way that I think we're going to do this so that there is absolutely no way for us to accidentally mess up is we're just going to go just like this on the outside. I think that that might be the better choice for us. Let's see. Now, let me do my measurements really quick. I want to make this as simple as possible. We're going to do this the simple way. So what I want you to do is take your glue. We're not going to slide it underneath. We're going to do this the easy, quick way so that everybody, including myself, does not mess up. And I put glue under that lip. This is actually going to come right over your little ridge there. and we are going to mount it. However, we are going to do a trimming up here, and we are going to trim off, let's see, we're going to trim off 5/16. This is going to make it much easier for all of us, so, and quicker. So after doing 5/16 trim job across the top, if you were to lay this down, this is still going to be the correct measurements and easier to work with. Plus it's going to give you that little ridge at the top showing the crafty. So let's go ahead and flip this over. Let's get our Scor tape going. Yeah. Less complicated, the better. And we're just going to do like a picture frame right along the bottom here. Okay, right in this area where, this is where we are going to put the glue in this area. So we are going to put some Scor tape across this up here. And one more right here. We are going to put a piece of Scor tape in between these two, like so. Run a piece down the side. I'm going to bring this up so you can see what I've done. Now I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to get it really good in here. I know there's a lot, but you know what? When it comes to those, when it comes to these, and especially when you're yanking to unlatch it, we don't want any chance that it's going to lift from the paper and tear, because then it's a bunch of work to try and glue it back down and fix it and all that. And in this case, I really put quite a bit of glue there. One area you will want to grab with a little bit of glue is on, if you're using this die, is right here. Keep those down, and this little lip. I think we're good. Here's the front. And I am going to start from the top, leaving just, oh, it's probably about a 1/16, and going to center it. Hopefully I'm straight. And this is where we're really going to push down, right around in here. Pull that back. And we are going to clip it again to make sure everything clamps down. Where it needs to be. And I'm going to allow this about 5 minutes or so. In the meantime, while this is drying, let's go ahead and measure across the bottom and cut a piece of our lace. I'm going to trim this of any threads that hang off. I don't want a tattered look on this. And I'm going to glue this down. I removed the other clips and I got this on. It should be dry and you should be stiff. So So you should be at this point, and you should be able to pull this back up, as well as these should be loose. If you got a little glue and yours is tough, don't worry, you can just move it back and forth. It will eventually loose up underneath, especially since it's a moving mechanism. On the back, you should look like this. Let's go ahead and get our top piece ready to go. We are going to need to grab our second sheet of the peacock white. All we're going to do, and if it's easier for you, but we should all be the same size, but to make sure, what we're going to do here is we are going to center it, and yes, you are going to have more showing on the side because this is only 8.5, and we did make our lid slightly larger than that in order to come over the top and look like a top piece of a suitcase. And this does highlight everything, but don't worry because it's going to look great. So what I usually do to get the exact measurement is I'm going to clip it on either side. I am just going to fold and put a crease right here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the back. I'd already creased my paper. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. And then all we are going to do is measure, and you're going to have to work yours to get yours up here. All we're going to do is measure at this point from the end what we need to cut off. I need my ruler. What have I done with it? It ran away. Here it is. So based on this, I need to chop off approximately 15/16 off this side. Now I'm using not a fresh piece, I'm using a leftover, but I'm not going to worry about my little crease here because we do have a strip that goes over this, so I didn't want to waste this piece of paper. So I'm going to measure in 15/16 and I'm going to chop it. Before I do any gluing, once again, make sure this is the front, I am going to even this up and even the sides as best I can. You are going to make sure that you are in a good form when wrapping this, or you're going to get sideways. I've done it before, and it's a lot of footwork trying to get it perfect. So, but do remember, we do have trim pieces that's going to cover up anything on the sides that does not line up well. Get covered up, so I'm mostly going to look up through here. Okay, I'm going to wrap this back around. I'm going to pull it as I go to try and keep it even on either side, which I am. And then I'm going to wrap it down. And if I need to do any more trimming, because I am pulling tighter than I did before, and I do need to do about 1/8 off of that. So I'm going to trim 1/8 off of that, and then we're going to get our Scor tape ready to go, as well as our glue. But let's get this on so that you can make sure you're lining up correctly when we do put our glue here. First, to make sure the straps don't pull back or away. We're going to glue this down really quick. So what I do is, this is the front. We want to grab underneath here in the back. And I'm going to push this mine a little back so you can see. Let's grab our Scor tape. Let's just go around the edges. And you are not going to go past this crease here. And I will show you as best I can in just a moment what I did, because the rest of this is glue to make sure. And we are going to need our clamps as well as our binder clips here. This is what I got so far, and I think it's safe to say one down the middle. So if you can see that, and this is the back. Let's put our glue down. And this is something we do have to let sit for about 15 minutes before we do anything with it. We have to let this glue dry 15-20 minutes. Otherwise, what's going to happen is when we go to open up the album, and if that glue is not completely dried, chances are it's going to come up, and that's kind of a pain to... I am going to, because I didn't get my Scor tape right up on the inside of that, I am going to just put a thin layer of glue right up there to make sure I'm up high enough. So let's grab our album. Here's the front. Let's open it up this way. This is the back. And we are going to slide this piece, and I think you can see, right up. So I just butted it up there. And now what I'm going to do is start pushing down. If you have these clamps, put them all the way in like this and clamp it down as hard as you can, okay, so that it gets a chance. I'm going to grab my binder clips and just do it right down here as well, and I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to leave it just like this off to the side. We're going to take the decorating step by step. So what I've got here out of the leafy branch die, and we are going to cut these, and we're going to use the leftover pieces in the album as well. But first we're going to ink these, and all I did with this is ink dark around the edges and then lightly brush it in. Same with this one. With the leaves, pistachio was stamped. It was inked darker around the edges, blotting it in there, here and there, and then finishing it off with this, with light strokes. You can clip off a couple off the Birds and Blooms die cut. Clip off a couple of these, and we're going to ink those. Elderberry is around the edges. I did use, where is it? Very, very lightly in the center, I did put some of this, and I blotted it lightly right on the inside of where elderberry was, and for both of these. And then our glossy, first of all, our Winkostella gets applied to it. Then our glossy accents goes on, and in the center of these were the liquid pearls. We do want to treat these with the glossy accents or anything that you have that will harden these up, so less likely to tear. And we're working on the bottom corner of the front of the album right now, and let's get all these done. If you are not die cutting, you can absolutely use any flowers down there. You have the Kaiser Craft paper blooms, use those. If you have something else, dig in your craft drawer. I bet you'll find something that'll match in with this collection. Now, one thing I do want to tell you that I did do is after I've done it brown, I did kind of put some pistachio in on here just to give it some more realistic look. So as you can see, I am going to put the Winkostella over that in a minute, but I did do that. I have applied my Winkostella, and then I put the glossy accents over it in the liquid pearls. This is still wet. I am going to sit this off to the side. While we're waiting for everything to dry, let's do our little science experiment. I feel like a mad scientist right now. My friend Sonia, like I said in part 1, she told me that you can get more use out of this. I put an X on this. This is dead. What you do is you're going to want to screw off the top. There's this black container. You just get your nail in there and pull it up. As you can see, I've only got a little teeny bit here. This shaft is completely empty, and according to her, it's rubbing alcohol, if I remember right. And I'm gonna do this. So apparently, oh, brand new. Let me get this out. And then I think I'm going to use it for the duration if it works. Now, how the heck? Oh, the stopper. That's what you want to do. Duh. The stopper comes out. And you just fill up the thing. Get it in there. We're going to put it right back in here. Screw the lid on. I see stuff down there. Move this out of the way. And I'm going to shake this up. Let's see if I can't zoom in. If this doesn't work, well, now we know. All right. I'm supposed to squeeze some into the chamber. Okay, did that. And by golly, I am getting Winkostella out. However, quite a bit. Where is the camera? Right here. Oh dear, I can't find the camera. There. And I'm hoping you can see from the reflection if I go like this. So what I'm going to do is use this one with the X that I kind of put on there for as long as I can throughout the tutorial on my flowers, and I will tell you at the end of the tutorial how it worked. I want to thank Sonia for giving me that tip, and let's move on. We have removed the clips, and this is the front of our album. You should be nice and sturdy there. The die cuts, if you want to grab those out, or the flowers that you're using, you can just go right on ahead. I am going to snip this right about here. And we're just going to lay this out for now. Matter of fact, I am going to clip this down. Oop, I got magnets. You'll find magnets, they're not in a container. They will find their way all over the place. So, we're going to lay this down before we glue it. Snip that off there. It looks like I actually snipped the better part of this. That's okay. We'll be using it. And you don't have to be real persnickety about this, guys. You can do it any way you want. I'm just going to snip off a piece right here. That one actually goes right like this. That little piece right here. Okay. With these, you can use your blossom mat. You can use it by hand. You can do any way you want. So let's go ahead. As you can see how that kind of looks. If you want to spread this out more, you can. It'll look fine. That's how I'm going to place mine. And I will zoom in. And okay. It's time to get this part on. To make this easier, grab your binder clips on either side. And we've already measured out, so we know, and we've already got our creases, so we know where this is supposed to sit. Grab your Scor tape. Okay, so I know which one is the back, so for me, and it has this little, because I was using a sheet, it has a little lip here. Yours should be nice. So underneath here, I'm just going to put the back. So I know on the front that I need to put some glue in some certain areas. On the back, very easy. We're just going to put some Scor tape down. There is nothing that hangs off this other than some, what we do back there? We just did a trim and some lace, so there's no latches. My coffee is done brewing, and I'm going to get myself a cup here in a moment. Make sure our paper doesn't lift up. And that should be fine. Top, we are going to go around the edges. And I'm going to give you a measurement to measure in. Okay, in the middle of the top portion, at 1 inch, we're going to make a mark, and at 1.5, and I'm going to give you to move in from the sides of the top. One more mark here so that we make sure we get this, and then just come in about 1/2 inch as well. So you'll have 3 marks just to make sure we get in that general area. It's just easier for me this way. You may have a better way of doing this. Alright, turn your paper around, and from your crease, do 1 1/4. So I know I'm supposed to be in this general area here. 1 1/4 here, and I'm just going to make a line like that. And from that crease, 1 1/4. You don't have to be real straight or anything, guys. It's just for us. Whoops, I did not quite go in enough there. It's this. So general idea area where we're at. So here and here. Okay, let's get some Scor tape. All you have to do is bring it on either side of those marks, like so. Put them on the inside of that. I think we're going to run the glue all the way over on that. I think so. Just put one small here and here. It isn't going to go anywhere. Let's grab our glue. I'm going to bring mine down a little lower just in case. I just don't want no lifting. Let's get our Scor tape here. Going around. Okay. part is actually fairly easy. There's only a couple places that we're going to need that glue. So let's just run this down a couple times. Right about here. Now we're going to measure in from the sides, make a mark, and measure from up, make a mark. We did make some marks on this, but we're going to get more precise, and I think we're going to do the preciseness on this. I would say let's go 1 5/8 in. Just make a mark from the bottom of the score. Mark 1 5/8, and then at this point do about, yeah, 1/2 inch, because our straps are a 1/2 inch. There we go. We're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, safe. Okay, so with this, we're just going to put the glue right all the way like this. You can do your score tape first if it's easier, if you're getting your hands in it. Okay, we are first going to remove, let's remove the front. If you feel you really don't need that much score tape as I am using, feel free to use less and see what you get there. Maybe I'm just being overcautious. The front. So with the front, all we're going to do is leave a little 1/16 at the bottom there. And I'm going to try, and it's kind of hard for me to see on that side, but I'm going to center that in between two sides. Okay, let's get our pieces that go across here in the top. The paper I had you pull aside was this one. We're gonna go ahead and slice off some pieces. This first green edge, I want you to take it off, and I am going to show you exactly where I cut. The first cut was made all the way down to there, and this is my leftover. Let's set that off to the side. Now what we are going to do is come down, and right on the line there, we're going to cut, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is what you should look like. You have the dark purple on each side of that. We are going to die cut for our front cover, and I'm going to get that out and show you which ones I used. Okay, placing this down, it was out of this is the A2 Bracket Borders 2, the S5215, and it looks like little tabs. The one I'm grabbing, I think you can see that, is this one. And what I want to do is I'm just going to place that right in the middle, and I'm going to bring the tip, when I'm placing this, I'm going to bring the tip up to the edge of the purple. I am going to measure on each side to make sure that I am straight and got equal amounts, so I'm not sideways here. One thing I found that's helpful so that this does not move on me is to grab a piece of tape and just place it down. Now I'm going to run it through the die cutter. This is what you should have. I'm going to go ahead and slice up through here. This is what you should have. And this actually fits right down like so, if I remember correctly. Up a little higher, like this. So this is here and this is here. You are going to want to center it. So all I do is I center this and make a mark on either side. And I've made a mark here. Now I'm going to slice it. Alright, so now we need to make outside marks for where our straps go. And we guessed as far as this, underneath, we gave ourselves plenty of room. So if you take your ruler and just go put it down now, because now we want to be really accurate here, where we need to go underneath this. Put your ruler down, just put it straight up, and if you do a from corner of the top, and do it the same here from the corner of that, going straight up, so it's kind of like a guide, more or less. And that will help us with this, because once we lay this down, we're not going to put glue under here so that we can slip under there with our glue. This is really simple to get down. If you flip this over now and you line up side to side, and you just make a couple pencil marks like this. We know to at least leave that much alone from the glue. Let's get our score tape out. And you don't need a whole lot on this. And I'm going to trim up where I've gone over. Where's my lines? Over here, darn it. I went over my lines. Alright. Get it over here. All right. If you are worried that you were off, you can wait until we do the straps if you'd like. Me, I usually just get everything ready to go and I just go with it. Teaching is a little bit harder on this. I'm struggling on it because I'm usually just autopilot and I go. So I'm going to do the way I do, and if you feel that you want to wait until we do the straps here in a moment to place your piece, we can do that. But I am going to go ahead with it now. Take this off. Actually, what I'm going to do is clip it higher so I can at least keep that there. Keep it a square here. And again, these are going to go, I am going to turn it. I've got to see. Otherwise, I'm going to destroy this whole thing. I've already been off several times because I just can't see over without the darn my head getting in the camera, so I do need to turn this. And then watching yourself to make sure you're straight up there. I gotta move that. And if you notice, right under here, you'll still be able to slip your buckle. Okay, next thing is flip this over. all we did here is place this down, measure over how much you need, especially if you need to straighten yourself up like me. Okay. Leaving a little lip at the bottom and making a mark what you need and cutting it. Okay. Placing the Scor tape. There. You don't need a whole lot. This is good right here. Just like this. Okay. Back of the album. I am going to clip the front so it will stay in form for me. Make it easier. And I'm just going to remove the Scor tape now. Let's get our lace ready to go. For the back, I am using the Martha Stewart one. Any lace will do. The white goes up, and we are going to place it, leaving a little bit of the crafty showing. Okay, I've got mine on. I'm using this lace here. I am going to measure across the back here, and I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to glue it, and then I'm going to get my flat back pearls. The top, from the top here to here, is about 3/4 down, and I am going to glue this down, and I'm going to, you don't have to be precise. I'm just going to, my other album I was 3/4 down, so I'm just going to run some glue here. And this is where I said you can cover up a lot of your unevenness. So hopefully you weren't uneven. Sometimes it's hard to wrap these, but there's always fixes with trims and everything. So I'm going to grab 5 flat back pearls. I'm going to center my first one, and I'm going to grab another flat back pearl. Okay. Okay, the back is done. I am going to let this sit before I flip this over. I'm going to get a cup of coffee, and in the meantime, what you can do is cut another strip of this as wide as the going across the front. Okay guys, let's see. We want to place, and I'm going to grab my other album so I can use it as reference here, because I do not always remember exactly what I've done. Each one of these are original, so recreating it, we are recreating it together. I'm going to glue that down, and where I'm gluing it down is the top of this is going to go right up there, just like this, right on that line. And then I'm going to place a row of bling right across the top. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's get one of our ornate plates out. Alright, so since I used gold, I'm going to use gold, but if you don't have a gold one left, please do not fret. Anything will work in. I mix gold and silver. They say you shouldn't do it, but I do it all the time. On the original, I used the gold right like that. And I'm going to set this all off to the side. And we're going to grab our sentiment. Let me look. and I'll tell you if it's in our scraps or if we need to cut a piece. The sentiment that I used was cherish. Now I cannot find cherished unless I set it off to the side. You may be in the same place that I am here. On the back of your scraps here, if you flip it over and you see cherish, you can take it out. What I'm showing that I have left is these, but I want the cherished. So I am going to take that page out, which is this one, and I'm looking for this bottom one. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is get this out, and I'm actually going to cut this right across straight. Okay, this is how I cut mine, and I left the purple at the top. I've got thread on this. And when I'm done with this, I'm just going to set this off to the side. If you flip this over, you will notice that it's almost a perfect fit in there, in the back. Almost, not quite, because I didn't design it to, but I did want to make sure that these would fit in these. So I'm just going to, and it's very light, get right in there, not a whole bunch. That's going to squirt out the sides. I just want enough. And in my other tutorial, I've already started working on it. It's an 8x8 album. I'm going to actually show you a different way to use these, and I love it. So it makes no difference if you're upside down or whatever, or how you, just as long as you can get this in there. And you should be looking like this. Let's grab the brads. I usually just put a dab of glue right in there. Oops. I'm going to stick that through. And I'm just going to get some glue on the back of these brads. And I am going to force it to twist over to the side so it does not get in our way, as you can see. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. So you should have something looking like this. Pretty soon we're going to be done with this, and we can actually get in the inside to start placing our papers. That is the funnest for me. I've always felt that these suitcase albums, I love them to death, but they are more work to construct. If you've made the regular 8.5 by 6.5, you'll know that this is a lot more work to get to this point, to make sure this album's going to stay together, more Scor tape and everything. But they're just beautiful. I do want to make sure I get some glue under here. Okay. On the original, what I did was, when I placed this in the center, and I'm going to show you, bring this up. This bottom of this little plaque, you see the little bar going across? The bar actually lays right underneath the edge. So I used the bottom edge of the rectangle to glue, to line that up. And that also helps me, guide me, of not putting the glue down here, how far I need to go. So this is what I'm going to do. Make sure I get some there, and all in the top. This is where you are going to want to clamp. I'm going to undo my side, that's dry. And I do need to make sure I am straight. I need to move me over a little bit. I'm pretty straight, I would say. Yeah, I want my clamp now. If I can find where I put it. Here it is. I am just going to reach in from the side here, Make sure I'm still straight. And I'm going to apply it, and I'm going to make sure I'm straight when I'm looking at this. If I need to adjust it, I'm pretty straight. If you're working with clamps, you'll want to grab it as best you can. If you're working with binder clips, that is. And I'm going to clamp this down here as well. Okay, the straps. Like I said before, I recommend you use real leather. If you don't have it, this is another way to do it. I do want to let you know that your straps will not break. They are durable and they are thick. However, you are going to get the weathered look. And once it's all buckled up and everything, it's not a big deal, but it is a weathered look. So I'm going to strap this original album up, and I'm going to show you up close what you're going to get. If you do not like that, then you may want to wait and get some real leather strips based on the thing. So when it's done up, you are going to, like I said, get the weathered look of a strap. And if you have the eyelets, you can go ahead and place those. Those actually look really nice. I didn't do it, but it's an added, I don't know, it looks really nice. That's what I'm trying to say. You will need a scoreboard, and we are going to trim this down. We are not going to put the handle on right now. We're going to do that last, so you don't go smashing it when we're getting into the inside. We are not going to put the holes in the buckle yet until we're done with the album, just to ensure that you get your holes in the right place. Depending on how bulky of your flowers you are, it's going to bring your album tighter. So let's wait to do the holes to make sure yours lines up good. You get the holes where they're needed. Looking at your paper like this, we are going to measure over 4 inches and slice it. Let's get our scoreboard, because when we're done scoring this and gluing it down, then we can cut it in half. So half of it's going to be one side of the strap, the other is going to be the other side of the strap. Okay, we want to score it every ½ inch. You can use score tape or glue for this. So I'm going to crease it once. I'm going to apply my glue. And I'm going to fold it over. I am going to fold it over again and crease it. And I am going to apply glue. And I'm going to keep repeating this. By this time, from folding it over so many times, you're only going to have a little bit left there. So let's put our glue. And fold it over. Trying to keep this as straight as possible. As you will see, you are pretty darn thick in this. I'm pretty thick on the other, but I made this even thicker. Before we do anything, you should be able to, if you folded yours, not pulling it tight enough, it is not going to fit through. You may have to do some trimming. Mine goes through and fits. So, okay, so what we want to do now is cut this exactly in half. This is 8½ inches long, so I am going to cut this at 4 1/4 straight across. Okay. What I'm going to do is just do an angle cut down here. And I am going to eyeball this to get them even. And then I can just grab this one next to it. Line them up. One's lower than the other. Great. No biggie. I should have marked it with a pencil. And I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. The idea behind this is being able to, and make sure that you are down back here. And it's going to be very stiff at first. Okay. I'm going to release mine. Should be holding good. I'm going to slip that up there. Make sure. This is the point where you want to pull it flush up there. Let's do our thing here. Binder clips. I have another one on the floor, but I am going to grab this, clip it. So I think you saw that, unless the camera, it did something, but I'm just sliding it under that place where we had it before. And I'm just going to bend it and push it through. And there is absolutely plenty, and this is where you can maneuver this, because we left enough playroom in here in case we needed to adjust. So there is plenty of room and plenty down here. If I want to trim this up even more when I'm done, I'll do so. The idea is to get that all the way up there, just to see where I need to be. And that looks pretty straight to me. Let's check this side before I put some glue down. Sticking that all the way up. Slip that in there. And looking at it, it looks pretty even. And I'll look again after I put glue. Okay. We're ready to glue this on, and this is a part where you will want your clamps or use your binder clips. If you're using binder clips, you're probably going to want to try and get a couple in at an angle each side so that you make sure. And all we're using here is regular glue. And I am going to place the glue right here, as well as this, and I'm going to wipe off any excess. Slide that on up, and because this glue gives me time to maneuver things, I'm going to get this other one up here really quick, so then I can even them up as needed. Any glue. Okay, I need to put my clips on the side here for a minute so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, got that. And we look like we're straight. Going in. If you want to double check yourself right now to make sure that you are, but just making sure you're on either side and it's going to go through, you should be just fine. Alright, I'm ready to clamp mine. With the clamp, I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. And I'm going tight. I'm going to wipe off any excess glue that squirts out. If you are using these, what I was trying to say is, if you can get one like this, and if you can get one up in there like this, and you'll probably want to try and hold that with your finger for a bit, but I'm using clamps just to make sure, and wipe away any excess glue that's unneeded. Now, if you've got it clamped down good, we have to let this sit for a while, but that does not mean that we have to stop. So we are just going to leave it like that, and we can work with the rest of this. So we are going to need a total of one of these, and it looks like 2 of these smaller ones, and we've got 2 blooms, and you can cut those off the birds and blooms thing, or if you have small blooms, use those. And then I'm using a couple larger leaves, and I might just end up using these instead. And I'm working from an open package. The bigger purple one from the white. This one will work. It's just fine. This one. Even this one would be very pretty put in there. We'll use that one. And then a yellow. I'm just going to grab one of those. So let's go ahead and ink up our leaves if you were not die cutting and all that. 2 smaller flowers if you like, or just these 3 will work. And some leaves. Really quick, for the flowers, I'm going to dab some of this yellow in the middle of each one. I am going to go around the outside. I'm just going to make sure the petals are separated here. You can snip them with scissors or use your hands. Elderberry around the edges. So I've gone around the edges there. And then all I did was take sweet plum and just kind of dab around lightly. Like so. We are going to apply Winkostella as well as the glossy accents to these. If you want to lighten that up, take Lulu Lavender and brush some on. Okay, my glossy accent has not completely dried, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and hope for the best. Okay, the first one that needs to be laid is the branch. I'm going to apply glue to the back. This one, the tip of this is going to hit almost the tip of the corner there. And this is going to lay right under the bling. And mine are wet still, but I'm going to go for it. I have one of these, and it actually goes right like this. And because this is the front cover, I'm not worried about this getting smashed, because when we open it up, it's actually not going to touch the bottom. Okay, the next one that we want to place is, and it looks like I used larger flowers, but instead I think I'm going to wait on those because I use larger, or not flowers, but larger leaves. Let's get this one positioned. I removed the stem. Spread that around there. And it goes right there. I have not put my liquid pearls yet in the center of my flowers. And I'll do that after I'm done here. Hot glue will tack these down quicker. Let's get our white flower. I am going to move this just slightly out of the way for right now. And this flower is going to go right like so. And this one's going to go up to the side as well. That dry. The smaller flowers, or the smaller leaves, I'm grabbing. One's going to kind of tuck like this. And apply some glue to this one. And we're going to slide that right underneath here. And you can leave it like that, or you can, like before, what I had was two larger leaves coming out. And I'm going to clip this one as well. Whoops. I think I will. We need 2 flat back pearls. One goes right here. We might be able to see the other one, I'm not sure. The idea is the other one's kind of hidden under that, so we don't need to put those on. If you would like, if you're not wet like me, and put one right there, actually, the way I position this, I am going to stick one extra one right there. So I'm going to let all of this dry. This is where you should be at. I almost forgot to ensure that we don't use this. Where we do need a strip of this is across the top. That is something that we can do right now. I almost forgot. We could have done it at the end, but I want to be safe and make sure that that paper is not used. It's going to lay right across the top of the album. And where you are going to cut, leave the white here. And you're going to cut just along that line there, leaving the white on that side as well. You're going to measure across the top of your album what you're going to need from here to here. And you can use a pencil or whatnot and slice it, and then we are going to glue it down. We're going to put Scor tape underneath, like a picture frame underneath, and we are going to be safe, we're going to put glue all through the middle of that. This is what it should look like. I'm going to take the Scor tape off, and I'm going to show you how to put it on the top of mine. I'm going to put the purple towards the back of the album, the green being up top. And all I'm going to do is just center this. Whoops. Hope you can see this. I'm going to center this as best I can. Make sure it's straight. I think that's pretty straight. And I'm going to make sure I press down and go really good where I put that glue. There's no chance that our handle is going to flop up any of the pages. We built this sturdy. It's going to last us a long time. I am using a yellow Kaisercraft paper bloom on this page, but I also have this branch. So go ahead and die cut, or you should have already done it, but ink it up the same way, and one of each of these. If you are using packaged flowers, you can use the a packaged style of leaf or no leaf at all. In our paper pack, you will find this sheet. We are going to measure over 6 inches, and we are going to slice it. Go ahead and put this one off to the side. We're going to work with this, turn it, measure down 8 inches, and slice it. This goes in our reserves, and we are going to work with this. grab one of your scrap pieces, and you should have this. If you don't, you will want to cut it, but this is 4.5 inches wide, and this should be by 11. Also, you will find in your reserve paper scraps that we've already cut this one. I am using the S5-201. It's the curved borders 2, the spellbinders. If you are using this, I'm going to show you where I put this to match up. If you are not using the curved and you're just using a border punch that goes across, this will fit. It's going to fit where you can leave a flap to do over, but you'll want to use the 1/2 inch. If you want to use a deep edge punch, you're gonna have to cut your cardstock a new sheet wider. So what I do is I get some Scotch tape on these. The one I am using, I'm gonna bring this up. You don't have to be. There's 2 of these type in there. Any one will work, but in case you want to know which one I'm using, it is the one that has the 2 triangles off to the side. It has the 2 little holes right like that. There's 2 of these in the pack, and one of them is smaller dots and the other one is bigger, and I used the bigger, and all I did is make sure that the straight edge that kind of goes, that the dots are on the bottom. I butt this up right underneath until it stops. I use tape to hold it in place so it does not slide around. So there's some tape to hold it. I'm just gonna butt this up right like this, and I'm going to bring it to, I'm going to center this, or actually bring it over to leave about 1 inch, because then I can use this for a picture mat over here. But I'm just going to bring the top of this up. I am going to use my ruler to make sure that the tip of this to the edge of this paper are even on both sides. Make sure these are down, and now I'm going to run it through my die cutter. Okay, this is what you're going to have, and all I do on this side is cut straight across till that releases. But I want to come over maybe 3/4 or 1 inch over and cut it. Once I've done that, then I can go ahead and clip over here as well. So now, on this one, grab the single one, bring this over, and then all I do is I measure to see where I'm at to get it even. So I'm going to go ahead and put the tape down so it doesn't slide around, and I'm going to run that through. If for any reason your die plate slides and you kind of have a flat top, mine didn't, don't worry about it, because we are adding lace and bling and no one's going to see it. Okay, so what I end up doing here is putting it down. Now if you notice, this is slightly longer. Okay, all I'm going to do is trim this off. Your memories will be down, and we are going to be putting something here. It fills in the emptiness. So easiest way, I got paper residue, is to just go ahead and glue this down, and then we will chop off what we don't need. Here we go. We are going to go ahead and place some Scor tape down the bottom of our page, just like so. So I am going to go ahead and now, I took the Scor tape off. I'm going to press down here. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to apply glue. You can do hot glue. This is a good time to use hot glue. Hot glue is inexpensive, and you can quickly, if you're using, quickly tack it down there. If you are using a low temp like I do, you're going to want to be quick, or you will get too fast of drying of your hot glue. And this is what you should look like. All I'm going to do here, and this is a good time maybe to dab a little hot glue. My hot glue gun is not out, to help you. all we do, add a little glue, and we are going to make this go around. And I am going to get my hot glue gun out for this, because then I don't have to worry about holding things down until it grabs. While my hot glue gun is warming up, you can grab one of these flowers. This is from the Paper Blooms Kaisercraft, and I actually mashed mine a bit. I kind of like the look of it by just peeling back some of this. And then I did actually apply the Wink of Stella to it. My husband just got home from work, so I may have to call it a day. Here we go. As far as this goes, I'm going to turn mine around, but you're just going to follow along the little line here. And I do little at a time with a low temp, so I do not burn myself. The next thing you're going to do is glue down your bling right across the top, and do the same thing like you did with the lace. This is what you should look like. Now we can go ahead and get our branch where it needs to be. And we're just going to apply some glue to the back, and we are going to slip the tip of this underneath the lace, and it's going to go just like that. Once you do that, then what you're going to do is place these two like this. You're going to put a flat back pearl directly in the center underneath your bling. Are going to take off that wire, and this gets planted just like this. This is what your page should look like when you are done. Let's apply our Scor tape to the back. We're just going to go all the way around the edges like so, like a picture frame. So you should look like that. Now we're going to do one right down the middle. We're going to remove our Scor tape, and we are going to look at the top edge of both sides of this, and we are going to center it so that when we're looking at it, it's going to go even with page 2.